Well, good morning folks, and welcome to another review. This is Lee, your virtual airline pilot, back with another scenery review for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Today we're back in the Eastern Caribbean and we are at Nassau in the Bahamas. This is Lyndon Pindling Airport, Mike Yankee November November. It's currently the main airport in Nassau in the Bahamas. This is a Payware scenery by Sierra Sim, and it's for the PC version of Flight Simulator 2020. Download comes in at 970 megs and it installs at 1.46 gigabytes. It's currently available at Sim Market only at the moment. Prices, well, this thing is currently priced at €19.19, which equates to $19.59 US or £16.19 UK. US and UK prices are estimates and include VAT or tax, which of course may vary depending on which country you're in when you make your purchase. I'd like to say right off the bat, there are some anomalies here which I looked at, certainly was regarding the runways. When I went to investigate and check against the charts, the real world runway 10 is actually runway 927. And if you go to airnav.com, which lists the current navigational data for this airport for August 2022, which is the time this video was made, it shows runway 0927, and it also shows that the airport has no instrument procedures. Now, if you go to Navigraph, I've just checked their charts, they do have instrument procedures. They actually have a full set of procedures, and the runway, the other runway there is listed as 1028. The Navigraph charts are dated 2020, and we're in August 2022. So there are, as you can see, there are differences. So for the purposes of this review, I'm going to assume that the developers have worked on the Navigraph charts. Actually I've tested the instrument landing system for runway 14, which again is on the 2020 Navigraph charts, and that does work. I'll show you an image at some point during the video that I took when we attempted to make an ILS landing in the Cessna. So that all works. So we will do this review, and I'm pretty confident in saying that it would appear that Sierra Sim have based the scenery on the Navigraph charts of 2020. And if you're a Navigraph subscriber, you'll find those charts and you'll be able to make use of them, no problem at all. So we start the review with some history. So Lyndon Pindling International Airport, Mike Yankee November November, formerly known as Nassau International Airport, is the largest airport in the Bahamas and the largest international gateway into this country. It is a major hub for Bahamas Air, Western Air and Pineapple Air. Located in the western New Providence Island near the capital city of Nassau, the airport is named after Lyndon Pindling, the first Prime Minister of the Bahamas. So in August 1942, number 111 Coastal Operational Training Unit of the Royal Air Force was established at Nassau Airport to train general reconnaissance crews using the North American Mitchell and Consolidated Liberator aircraft. In December that year, the airport was named Windsor Field after the Duke of Windsor and became a Royal Air Force station. Windsor Field was second airport in the Bahamas at the time and was used for delivery flights of the US-built fighter bomber aircraft, such as the Boeing B-17 and Consolidated B-24 bombers, from the aircraft manufacturers to the North African and European theatres during World War II. Was also a base for the Consolidated Liberators and Mitchell bombers, patrol bombers combating the German Navy's U-boat threat. In August 1945, the 111 RAF training unit returned to the UK and was actually disbanded. After the Second World War in June 1946, the RAF withdrew from Windsor Field and reverted to a civilian use. Oaks Field, which is now Thomas Robinson Stadium, remained as the main airport in the Bahamas due to its close proximity to downtown Nassau. Oaks International Airport was kept in operation until midnight on the 1st of November 1957, when Nassau International Airport at Windsor Field was brought into full operation. The name of the airport was officially changed on 6th of July 2006 in honour of the Right Honourable Sir Lyndon Pindling, the first Prime Minister of the Bahamas from 1967 to 1992. Sir Lyndon is recognised as the father of the nation, having led the Bahamas to majority rule in 1967, as well as full independence from the United Kingdom within the British Commonwealth some 6 years later. With more than 3 million passengers and over 80,000 takeoffs and landings, the airport had reached its capacity by 2011, and its facilities were outdated and insufficient. In 2006, Nassau Airport Development Company, or NAD, entered a 10-year management agreement with YVR Airport Services Limited, the commercial arm of Vancouver Airport Authority in Canada, to manage, operate and redevelop the airport. As of October 2013, the airport now features 10 jet bridge capable gates. Other features include 4 gates capable of towing the banned Boeing 747 sized aircraft and 1 capable of handling the Airbus A380. In addition, 1 million square feet of operating surface has been added as well. There are also 24 new retail outlets and 16 bars and lounges located across the sprawling terminal complex. In 2008, the airport handled 3.2 million passengers, and it is expected that expansion will allow for roughly 5.2 million passengers to be processed by 2020. The airport contains US border pre-clearance facilities, allowing all US flights to operate as domestic flights upon arrival at their destination. In February 2015, the US border pre-clearance facility installed 20 automated passenger control self-service kiosks to improve the efficiency of passenger processing for US-bound travellers. Currently, over 23 airlines operate into and out of Nassau. So there's a history for you. Quite a long history. Started out as a military base from the UK, and then now is a very popular base, a major airport for commercial traffic. So let's go down at the moment, drop the light down and have a look at the runways. We've got 2 runways here, and as I said, there are conflicts with the navigation data for the real world, and I'll explain a bit more. So runways and navigation data. As I explained, there's conflicting AIP chart information about Nassau Airport. Current Navigraph charts, all of you, including myself, that have subscription to Navigraph will see this, are all dated around November 2020 and show runway 1028 instead of runway 0927, which is what the current real world seems to be, and therefore the charts seem to be out of date. The current and correct data taken from airnav.com, whose information shows current as of August 2022, obviously does not seem to be supported by this scenery. So since this scenery product seems to be based on the Navigraph data, which does have approach charts for all runways, including runway 09 or 10 as it is now in the product, runway 14 and runway 32, all dated from 2020, I have therefore decided to include this data since it safely be used by simulator pilots. But I obviously add the caveat, this is only for flight simulation purposes. Note that airnav.com lists no instrument procedures listed for this airport, but clearly with the presence of Navigraph charts we do actually have them. So Nassau operates 2 runways. Runway 1432 measures 11,107 feet or 3,385 meters in length and is made from asphalt, and we're looking down runway 114 at the moment. Runway 2810, or runway 927 in the real world, is the shorter of the 2, measuring 8,273 feet or 2,522 meters in length, and is also made from asphalt. The airport lies at an elevation of 16 feet or 5 meters. So again, according to Navigraph chart data, runway 14, which we're looking at now, features a standard instrument landing system and a simplified short approach lighting system, as well as a precision approach path indicator on the runway left side. This runway also features RNAV, VOR and SRE approach options. Now the ILS for runway 14 has been tested by me in the simulator with a Cessna. I'll pop a picture up in a minute to show you, and it's working correctly as expected. So here we are looking down the throat of runway 32, the opposite end. This runway is listed as having no approach lighting, but it does have precision approach path indicators, again on the left side of the runway. And again, according to Navigraph, this runway also features RNAV, VOR and SRE approach options. And you can see the runway is nicely lit. There's a centerline lighting as well as runway end identifying lights too. So now looking down the throat of runway 10, which is runway 09 in the real world according to AirNav. And this runway features omnidirectional approach lighting system, as well as the precision approach path indicator again on the left side of the runway, and you can clearly see that. This runway also has RNAV, VOR and SRE approach options available. However, I will say, according to airnav.com, the real world runway 09 features the simplified short approach lighting system that's found on runway 14. And as I've said, and you can see here, both runways feature centerline lighting, and we've got end identifier lights too. And a quick look at the other end, runway 28 in the scenery, which is runway 27 in the real world. There's nothing listed under Navigraph data for operations into this runway, but as you can see, it's lit, it has end identifier lighting, and it does have precision approach path indicator on the left side, so you could do a visual approach into this runway during the daylight hours most likely. So there you go, that wraps it up for runways. As I've said, we're basing this review, and it looks like the developer also is basing this scenery on the Navigraph chart data for 2020, which lists runway 1028 instead of 0927, which is the current runway listed by airnav.com as of August 2022. Anybody knows any differences about this, anybody lives at Nassau or has been here, would like to just confirm these details, that would be great, and love to hear from you guys in the comments. So there you go. Next thing to do is we'll go down and test the jetway. So we'll go back to just after midday in the daylight, and we'll have a look at that. Okay, we've gone through the skin, but it does actually work. So let's retract it. And there you go, so that looks fine. So the jetways work even though they do go through the skin, but they're custom jetways and they do actually work correctly. So there's your jetways tested. Let's start with a slow sort of pan across the main apron area and have a look at how it looks. So as you can see, the markings, ground signage looks good, no problem at all. And it's fairly accurate too. The building, I've looked at pictures of the terminal there, and everything looks fine. There is no internal development in any of the terminal here, which is a pity really. It would have been nice to see some. However, all looks okay, and as you've seen, the jetways work. But your aircraft ground markings are there. The airside roadway looks good. Not an awful lot of clutter around. But anyway. Vehicles seem to be going the right way too. Just ignore that. I do have the PMDG 737 installed, so you will see the odd strange livery here. Oh, there you can see taxiway signs, other bits and pieces that are all accurate, and I have to say they do look better they look really good in the low light, and we'll look at that shortly. So coming around here onto the other side. So we've got a little bit more clutter there, we've got some baggage containers. And the building design looks good, it's accurate, and it looks quite pleasing too. So we continue the airside tour, and we go across this side here. This is apron number 5, and it's heading towards the fire station and the general aviation apron. We've got a couple of nice hangars here, and also a couple of nice static aircraft. There you've got a DHC, de Havilland DHC-6 I believe it is. Nice little green fence line there, and over there you've got a reasonably detailed hangar with a 737 which looks like a 400 in there. Looks pretty good. There's the DH6 model for you. So we continue the tour, and as you can see, lots of static aircraft. We'll come up here towards the fire station and have a look. So there's a fire station, some really nice models. A little bit of a closer look there. Models are really quite nice, no problems with them at all. And the station itself is perfectly okay. Just a little look from the other side there. All looks fine there. So we go across part of the civilian general aviation apron. This is the Jet Nassau area, which is like a private FBO. And as you can see, it's been really nicely recreated. I love this foliage and the trees. It really makes the thing come alive. And there's the main entrance. So once again, no internal development on this building. Very nice indeed, really nice little location, and this has all been nicely done. So we just continue the tour, carry on here towards the right to the very end of the general aviation apron. As you can see here, there's plenty of static aircraft and buildings, all looks pretty nice. And as I said, there's a heavy reliance here on the photo scenery, the default photo scenery on the airport. But in general, overall, it seems to work reasonably well. So while we're here, we just come back towards the main terminal. Let's have a look at the landside area. As you can see, plenty of little buildings that have been worked on. The roads don't look too bad, even considering their default photo scenery. Lots of cars, car parks. Would have been nice to see this car park developed properly delineated, but as you can see, they've relied quite a bit on ground photo scenery rather than actually attempting to really model the car park ground properly. But it looks okay. Many of you pilots won't even bother seeing this, so it's really not so much a problem. But in terms of what Flight Simulator 2020 is capable of and what developers are capable of these days, it would have been nice to see this developed properly, even if they weren't going to do the terminal. Love the palm trees, and in general the buildings are accurate, they do look nice. So let's have a little pass landside of the main terminal, and the first thing you can see, those windows there on the right, they've done a little bit there so that when you look at them it looks as though there's something going on inside. We'll just stop here and have a look at this one. So there, we're up pretty close there, look, and you can see that that has been really quite nicely done. That's one of the little outstanding features of this scenery, I think. That's been beautifully done so that you get the impression there's something going on in there. As I've said before, no internal development in the buildings at all, but it does look nice, and I'm quite pleased with the way they've done that. So here we are continuing down the landside road, and as you can see, the road is here but there are no markings. The concrete bits and pieces there on the left look really quite nice, and the building's nicely modelled as per the real world. And as I've said, these little things on the doors to the right there that give you the illusion that there's something going on inside is really nice. But I think the whole thing's let down a little bit by the fact that here these roads are not they've not been developed at all. They've relied a lot on photo scenery, default scenery. They've not really done the roads at all, really, not in the same way that they've done the airside roads. However, the plant life looks really quite good, and the building, as you can see, is as it should be. And you've got structures here landside of the airport, which also looked pretty good. Again, it would have been nice to see this car park properly delineated and properly modelled. But as you can see from this shot, the airport lies in a really nice place. You've got those beautiful little lagoons over there in the distance. There's the main roundabout from the road that leads into the airport. As I've said before, this is all photo scenery. None of this has been developed per se, but actually it doesn't look too bad. And there, looking in the other direction, you've got the same thing. Well, it looks okay, it looks perfectly acceptable. And there's the terminal looking from landside in all its glory. It all looks perfectly fine, no problem there at all. So now we'll do a quick travel across the airport here. There's the fire station below us. We're going to cross the runway 14432. As you can see, taxiway there looks good. Everything looks properly weathered, which is really quite impressive. And again, we rely a lot on photo scenery here, but all looks pretty good. We're going across now to the Odyssey flight fixed base operator, which is on the southeast side of the airfield. And here you can see it's been nicely developed. Some lovely static aircraft models there. There's the FBO itself. We'll have a look at that in a minute. I just want to take you across this area. There's a real array of static aircraft models here. It's a pity they're not painting in anything, but then I think this is where work's been done before they get delivered. I'm not entirely sure. Perhaps somebody can tell me a little bit more about the Odyssey FBO at this airport. But again, the models and the structures are perfectly acceptable. I love the foliage here. Typical buildings, nicely done, nicely modelled. Here we have a close-up look at one of the models. This is a 737 with the winglets. Really, really nice. Another large hangar with weathering on the doors. It really looks quite good there. That's really nice. And then we have the FBO itself there, where you can see that's beautifully modelled, quite accurate as well, again from photos that I've been looking at. And again, you can see they've got this markings on the doors there, the glass doors, that give you the illusion that something's going on inside, just like they had on the main terminal, which I think is lovely. And once again, another large hangar there with some models outside. And here we are inside the hangar, just to confirm, no internal modelling here in any of the buildings on the airport. Okay, so there we are. We've had a reasonably good look round airside and landside of the main terminal area and the additional bits and pieces, as well as the Odyssey fixed base that lies at the southeast corner. As you can see, the airport itself lies on a beautiful island structure. Looks really, really good. Let's turn the lighting down now and have a look and see what it all looks like at dusk. And I'll show you the really nice effect that I've noticed on some of the taxiway signs. Okay, 7:45 in the evening local time. We're in August 2022, so this is what it looks like at dusk. As you can see, the lighting's quite adequate, very subtle. Everything is there as you need. From the airfield side, you've got plenty of blue airfield edge lights to delineate the airport boundary itself. Taxiways look good. There will be, I believe there are green centerline taxiway lights. We'll have a look. But what I want to show you, something I noticed which is really, really quite nice. If you look down here, you can see here at this confluence here, you've got these taxiway signs that are actually nicely lit. They're set on plinths, and there's they're lit in such a way that you get a glow about them, and I actually really like this. It's one of the little highlights of the scenery. Let's go down and have a look at one. So here you can see runway centerline and taxiway centerline lighting, and you've got the markers there that show you that you're going into runway 2810. And I like the way, I mean, there's no obvious source of lighting, but I like the way that these are modelled and the way they are lit. And if we, here you can see the green centerline lighting and the blue edge lights. If we have a look at one of the normal signs, you'll see they're done in the same way. So here's one of the normal signs pointing to taxiway Bravo. As you can see, properly built onto a plinth, nicely modelled, and it you get this kind of a glow effect here. Well, there's no obvious lighting. Obviously the lighting, you're going to assume that lighting's built into the sign, but you get this lovely little glow, which is a feature of almost all of these signs in the low light hours, and it really makes taxiing around and identification really easy. And to be honest, it looks really nice. So if we track towards the central terminal area, here you can see the glow that each of these little signs casts. And I think personally it helps a lot in helping you to identify your way around the ramp here before you get to the main ramp itself. And it looks really pleasant, really does look pleasant at night. So here we are back at the main ramp. Let's just have a look at how the lighting works here. Can't see any asobo globes, which is nice. The main stand lighting is providing light, which is good. And to be honest, the terminal doesn't look too bad either. Can't see any lighting on it at all, which is a pity. It would have been nice to see what you could actually see when you look through the aircraft window, having parked up. But no real complaints about the lighting and the way this area looks. For pilots, it's going to be perfectly acceptable. Again, as we come out towards the taxiway there, you can see those signs that are nicely lit, and the whole ambience of the area looks really quite nice. Just come round to 8.4, which has a little bit more clutter. There's one of the default cars there with the lights on, and the lighting here is a little bit better on the buildings. Very nice. There's the fuel area. And see how the roads have been nicely done here, but was completely ignored when you go landside. Before we leave this area, let's turn round and look at landside. I really like those palm trees, they're very nice. So we've got our first asobo globe spray here. Lots of asobo globes providing lights. And here we go in towards the terminal here. And again, we'll just track down the road. And yeah, it looks nice. Good lighting on the building. But you know, nothing to write home about. It's as you would expect. But an awful lot of asobo globes lying around, which have been basically left here to provide the lighting. Here's the landside car parks. No real problem, but again, nothing really to write home about. But if we just stop for a minute, and there we take a look at the terminal from landside. I mean, that's nice, that's acceptable, it looks really nice. So here's a shot of that hangar with a 737 inside it, and you've got the DH6 sitting in front of it here. You've got lighting here, but with no obvious source of where it's coming from, which is just one of my bugbears about some scenery here. But again, you've got this nice little effect on these windows here that give you the illusion of something going on inside. So we track across here. Once again, there the building on the left is lit, but there's no obvious sign of where the lighting's coming from. Let's just swing round and have a look at the fire station. As you can see, it's been nicely lit there. And there it is in all its glory. Fire station's nicely lit with appropriate lighting. No asobo globes here, which is good. So let's just go and have a quick look at Jet Nassau. This area looks quite good there. You've got big light sources up at the top, although I can see some asobo globes floating in the distance. So there's the building, nicely lit, and again we've got no artificial lighting. The building has its own lights, which are providing what you can see there. Very nice indeed. And there's a hangar that's behind Jet Nassau, Again, nicely lit, but no obvious signs of where the light source is. And looking out towards the Odyssey FBO, which we'll go across and have a look at in a minute, there you can see what the ramp looks like on this general aviation apron. So a quick traverse across the taxiway while we head towards the Odyssey fixed base operator. There you can see your green centerline lights. Taxiways look good. You've also got wigwags there as well, I should mention, which are a big help. The lighting on the runways is no problem at all, and there you've got a lit windsock, which is excellent. Just slow down a little bit here. Here we are at the Odyssey hangar. Again, the lighting looks good, and you've got those really powerful high lights there supplying all the light area. You've got some Asobo glows, but they're pretty much landside. And there again you've got that effect on the windows that gives you some idea that things are going on inside. However, the difference here is that there's no internal lighting to light these up a bit. These windows should be brighter given the time of day, but they unfortunately look exactly the same as they do during the daytime. There we're looking landside of it. On the other side of the building you can see the Asobo globes floating around. So we just track across the hangar there. You've got lights above that hangar, which is good, whereas some of the other hangars on the other side weren't lit properly. This one is. Just come down to ground level and you can see we've got a hangar there that's lit internally, and also there you can see you've got lighting on top of the building, which gives the correct source for the lighting around here. These things were missing on the other buildings over at the general aviation area. So just a general quick look there at the hangar itself, and in the other direction looking towards the terminal complex in the far distance. All looks perfectly acceptable. So there you go, there's an overview of the terminal area and the general aviation apron, and looking at the lights here as the sun dips down. Let's turn it to night and have a quick look. So just after 10 PM local time, and we're nice and dark well into the night here, and as you can see the lighting's come up quite nicely. No change to the taxiway and runway lighting, that's all as it should be. Let's go down to the ramp and have a look. So there we are looking at my aircraft parked on the ramp. As you can see the lighting has come up nicely. There's really no problem with the lighting here airside for when you're going to park. So there's the view looking towards the terminal, having parked the aircraft shut down. And as I said before, it would be nice, I mean they've got this effect on the doors here, but it would be nice to have this properly modelled on the outside with a little bit more detail, just to improve this view. But this is the view you're getting from inside the aircraft. As you can see there's plenty of light, so in terms of parking there's not going to be a real problem. This happens in lots of sceneries, but it really would be nice if Asobo could change this so that the tug sits in front of the aircraft and not to the side. Or you're always going to get this situation where the jetway is going to move straight through the tug and it's going to look totally unrealistic. There's a view looking across through the first officer's side. Perfectly fine, no problem at all. So we'll do a quick tour from airside to landside. Won't spend too much time on this. You can see the difference there. You've got the airside roads nicely modelled, although there are a lack of signs. But once you go landside, the road modelling disappears. There basically isn't any. And now we've got lots of Asobo globes floating around all over the place. But the lighting is acceptable. Everything you see landside is acceptably lit. And here we're just tracking across the landside car park, and you can see how well it's lit. It all looks really pleasant. I have no real complaints. Most of what I'm talking about are just observations. There are things I'd love to see improved about this product, but as a start, nobody else really has done this airport. There is a freeware version available, I believe, but this does improve upon the freeware. But quite a bit of work is needed to bring this up to something really special. But as you can see, the lighting looks acceptable, particularly the taxiways and the signage. To a certain extent you will rely on your nose gear lighting, but you've got plenty of green centerline lights. All the taxiway signs are nicely lit so that you can see them easily. And generally this area looks great. It looks really, really nice. So there you go. Let's bring this up to the daytime, perhaps just the early dawn, see how it looks. So it's 10 minutes to 7 in the morning. As you can see, the sun is coming up and you get this really nice, beautiful sunrise glow on the building there. There's a nice shot looking over the sort of the swamps, as it were, towards the rising sun. Looks really nice. The whole area is lovely. And finally back to the airport. So we'll leave this as it is at the moment, and time to wrap this review up, and let's discuss what I think. Okay, as I said, the number one thing to point out is that it would appear this scenery is based on the Navigraph charts that are currently available from Navigraph, and those are dated November 2020, which list the two runways as runway 1432, which is the one you can see in the foreground, and the one in the distance, it lists it as runway 1028. Now if you go to airnav.com, which gives you the information which is current as of August 2022, which is the time this video was made, you will see that actually runway 1028 is 0927. And interestingly enough, AirNav lists this airport as having no instrument procedures, which I find really strange. But again, it would be nice if somebody who lives here or flies into here regularly maybe could comment on this and just maybe help me with that kind of dilemma. But for the purposes of this scenery, it seems to be based on the Navigraph current charts, and if you're a subscriber or you have access to those charts, you'll have no problem, because there are full instrument procedures. Runway 14 ILS is equipped as it should be, and also the ILS works. It's been tested. The lighting, however, is pretty much as per the charts, and there you go. What do I think? Okay, it is better than the freeware, not by much, but it's better than the freeware, and it's quite nicely done. But again, what they've decided to do, as quite a few of developers have done in some of the sceneries I've recently looked at, they've chosen to probably do the minimum that's required. I love the signs. The signs are the way they're lit internally. In the low light, they look fantastic. Though I really like the way that the Jet Nassau FBO has been modelled, as well as the Odyssey FBO further there off the airport. Airside, you've got no problems at all. The ground markings are excellent all the way through the airport. The lack of detail and the lack of attention to any work at all starts to go when you get landside. As you can see, they've got car parks and buildings and things that have been done less landside, but whereas the airside roads are really nice and sharp and properly painted, the landside ones aren't. And the landside part of the terminal, the nicest thing about the terminal landside are the doors and the effect that you've got on those windows. And interesting to see that certainly over at the Odyssey FBO, when you turn the light down, those effects don't change. The doors don't look too good because there's no change in the lighting, which you would expect when you look through glass windows. But yeah, lots of really nice things to like about this airport, and it certainly has everything the simulator pilot needs. So you're not going to have any problems. I've shown you the views outside of the cockpit when you look through and park up, which is perfectly acceptable. And the other plus is I can't see any vehicles that are entering either of the two runways. What would I like to see in the next version? I'd love to see them develop part of that terminal. Certainly the airside part, so that when you park up you get a really nice experience. You don't have to load it with moving passengers and all sorts of gizmos that you see in some of the fantastic sceneries, but it would be nice to see the airside part of the terminal developed in much more detail, a little bit more clutter, the stands look a little bit blank. That would be really nice. Landside, it would be nice to see the landside part of the terminal just developed a little bit. Certainly if you did the roads, add a few signs, that would make a huge improvement. And if you went and sort of modelled at least one of those big car parks, that would be a massive improvement, certainly too. And I think if they applied the same improved modelling techniques over at the Odyssey FBO, I think that would make a big difference to this airport and would certainly take it up a couple of notches in my opinion. Do I think it's worth €19? I probably think it's worth about 16 and a half maybe. Basically because of the amount of work that's not been done. They've relied heavily here on photo scenery. You've only got to look at these roads. I mean, okay, it works, and it's better possibly than some photo scenery in some parts of the world, probably because this part of the world there is better Bing data available, and the island is really, really nice. You know, it's going to be a lovely place to fly into, and everything you need is here. But for €19, I would have expected a lot more modelling development rather than having to rely on the photo scenery. But that's just my opinion, that's an observation. I still think it's a good airport and I'd still recommend it. At the moment it just edges out the freeware, I think. But as I said, bear in mind it's based on the current Navigraph charts of 2020, so actually it's perfect for simulator flying because you've got your instrument procedures. And if somebody lives here or flies in here regularly, I'd love to hear your comments and find out why the difference on the airnav.com data. Which runway actually exists in the real world? Is it 09 or is it 10? And how come AirNav are turning around and saying that there are no published instrument procedures when clearly there are? So that's an interesting little discovery. As I said, it's perfectly acceptable. Nice little scenery. So there you go, folks. This is Nassau, Linden Pindlen Airport, Mike Yankee November. Payware scenery by Sierra Sim Studios. It's for the PC version of Flight Simulator 2020, as far as I can tell. I can't see it in Marketplace. Download is 970 meg and it installs at 1.46 gigabyte. Price is €19.19, which equates to $19.59 US, or £16.19 UK. US and UK prices are estimates, and they do include VAT and tax, which of course will vary depending on where you are. Currently available from SimMarket. It's a nice little scenery, but I would have loved to have seen more. But who knows? Let's wait and see. Maybe the developers will see this and maybe they will work on it. This scenery has potential to be stunning, but not enough work has been done, in my opinion, to justify a price of €19. For me, it's nearer 16 and a half euros. But again, just my opinion. Nice little scenery, and also just one little disclaimer: I bought this. It wasn't given to me to review. I paid for it, so. As ever, the comments and opinions are my own, and they're not in any way influenced by the developer. So this is Lee, your virtual airline pilot. We're wrapping up another review. This is Nassau in the Bahamas. Hope you enjoyed it. If you've been on the fence about this, I hope it's helped you make a decision. I think it's a nice scenery. I'm not going to run it down at all, really, in that way at all. It's a nice scenery. Don't think it's quite worth the price it's being advertised for, but who knows, if they worked on this and did it a bit more, this could be a really stunning little project. So thanks for joining me. You guys have a great week. We're getting storms now here in the UK. Looking outside my window, it's raining like cats and dogs, and we really need the rain. So I hope you enjoy it, and guys, I will see you in the next video review or next adventure. This is Lee saying bye bye for now. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.